we're talking, because I've always been into fashion as the aforementioned Jewish American princess, but it seems like fashion is social engineering, right? Like I'm thinking back to the 80s, which was when they took women out of the household, post second wave feminism, woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, and put them in these big shoulder pads and kind of had them like emulating men, right? So as I'm like flashing back in my mind to the different kind of fashion trends that I've experienced, like I'm starting to see fashion as social engineering.
100%. And see, this is interesting. You mentioned that because in the 1940s was that first wave of those shoulder pads.
Oh, that's right. And that was first wave feminism.
It was first, well, it was on the heels of it because we got the suffragettes
Right.
in the turn of the century. But when women got to this point where they were openly able to just start wearing slacks and big shoulder pads and all this, I mean, bring in one of the queens of this, which is Mommy Dearest herself, Joan Crawford. This
Right.
was the way forward. And then great feminists to the movement like Katharine Hepburn. I
Mhm.
mean, who I grew up loving her. Everything she said, I still do. I love her. She did
Yeah.
so much for our plight, and bringing in awareness, not just allowing women to wear trousers or be more boyish. She and intelligent, because mostly her characters are she chose intelligent characters and she
Right.
went for this. So when the 80s snuck back around, we're in a whole different situation now where it's the glamorous 80s, right? Again, it was like all pop, all fresh. So much was going on in the 80s, a lot of cocaine, a lot of money, a lot of hyperbolic. Everything's flash and flare. We got the new age move. The new age movement is getting on fleek there, girl. Everybody was
Yep.
coming
Yep.
new age. Shirley MacLaine out there on her limb. And
Right. That's right. And we also had greed is good, right? That
yes.
that big money push.
Yes, and we're seeing this in rap culture that started to actually really get going. It was late 70s it was happening. It was kind of pushed off from the beat generation with word jazz, and we had some amazing early rapping going on in the late 70s in New York. Just absolutely amazing. And then gangs like I say gangs because I'm talking about rap games.
Mhm.
So like Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash. I mean,
Oh,
these
yeah.
were great. And White Line, talking the cocaine's flowing. Cocaine was
White
a sign
line.
of girl, right?
Iconic. And that's when we learned to do the freak.
Yes, 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 absolutely. So it's all in fun and wonderfulness, but at the same time, it was all being controlled and contrived.
Right.
And this is the thing when I talk about the folk at the bottom level, the folk that are having fun and enjoying these tides are just simply living their lives and they're not aware that there's an agenda behind all this,
Right.
and that second wave of feminism was going to absolutely destroy and not look anything like the first wave of feminism, which was out there saying women have a right to read, write, and what most of all, vote.
Oh,
And not only vote, but earn a proper place in society as human beings.
mhm.
Now, my great grandmother was a suffragette, and I still have one photo because I've been through two fires. But
Wow.
this was a big deal. This is human rights, and then human rights led into civil rights. And as we started to do these kinds of big cultural movements and shifts, and let me tell you, feminism needed to happen. Women needed to be on equal playing ground.
Mhm.
It's sad that it had to all of a sudden be co-opted and turned into women as little men. Right now, don't
Right.
get me wrong, and I may be unpopular for saying this, but I've always loved a bull dyke, and because that's what all my old school bull dykes are still around me, and they still like the term bull or tomboy too,
Right.
and they're not trying to transition to anything. They are happy people who they are, living their lives who they
Right.
are. As far as I know, Dyke.
Hello, Earthlings, quick interruption to remind you to click that subscribe button, to like, to share, to comment. You have no idea how helpful your comments are for me in encouraging the algorithm to give me more reach. As well, click that bell so that you will be notified of my every next video. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled mind expanding awesomeness.
Who they are. As far as I know, Dykes on Bikes is still a real organization, by the way. So I just want to point out that that kind of stuff that newer generations are having trouble with, because they want this plight, and they want to bring in people that just like all these other movements, they want to relate, and they want to move it forward, but it's social engineered. And what is happening is there's a big separation happening. So some of my old school gay friends are absolutely put off by everything now. They don't go to Pride at all, because it's become like a sex fest in front of little kids. It's like anything but Pride. And so, like some of my ex-gay husbands,
I have a few of those myself.
girl, of course you're a Jewish American princess. It's like we have to, in the old days, we called I never called myself a hag, but the term fag hag lived
Right.
long. I don't know if it's still out there, but I certainly applied.
Right.
And anyway, but we were talking about recently how it was edgier. So when society got to the point where it was not as bad to just be who you are, and that equal rights were starting to happen, that women were starting to make paces, that gay people were starting to make paces forward in society, and all this was great, but there was still an edginess. We're still on the periphery. We're still kind of others and out there creating a counterculture that was very, very cool.
Right.
It's not that anymore. And now it's gotten so crazy through pop culture, through all this social programming, that it's become cartoonish. And my fear, Danny, is that there's going to be some sort of big whiplash now because of some of this new wave of stuff that's absolutely not organic. It's completely 100% engineered. And it makes me very sad to see how shut up we're becoming. Do you remember the meme of the duct tape on the face?
Of course.
And who's now pushing that the most? The people that have actually been cultures that have been pushed to shut up for real first wave feminists, real second wave feminists, real lesbians, real, dare I say, dykes and queers and transsexuals and transgenders, those people that have fought so hard to come forward and just live a decent life and not push it on everyone, but we have our own communities just like everyone else does. In Chicago is a city of cultures. You can go to Devon Street and experience the wonders of India. Right? You can go and there's this whole Indian culture. Most of the people there are speaking in their own ethnic languages, because there's different languages through India. People don't realize that. And you go and you experience little India. Then you go to little Italy. I mean, you can go to these neighborhoods all within one city. And what's going on now is everyone's getting pit against each other, and this homogenation meme that most people really, when they think about it, you will lose all of your cultural standing. You will lose the things that make you special and your people special by homogenizing with everything. Is not a cool place. I don't want to be there. I want to visit little India because I want to visit India without traveling to India. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how my Polish friends are getting on in their neighborhoods, and we come together, we work, we go to school, but they can go home and be in a place that's surrounded by their culture, and it's okay. It's a beautiful thing. We celebrate it. What's going on, Danny, with this? What is happening?
I mean, I think they for sure are trying to homogenize us. We saw it with gentrification, right? We used to road trip through the country, and different towns had their own different, I'd always seek out the natural food store and everything was different. And now it's all the same. I first went to India 99 to 2000. And, I always had to cover my shoulders and cover my legs and wear my hair up. It was all super traditional. I went back in 2016. It was just like women in jeans and tank tops and toilet paper and gluten-free chapatis. I'm like, what happened? So I don't know if we're going to get that back, because this has happened. And as we were talking, and you were talking about white lines and like the early rap culture, I feel like that was a really big entry point for the social engineers, for the Tavistock fucktards, because through rap music, that came this like doubling down on identity. Right. And that was when people started always saying their names in their songs, and everything
Yes.
was kind of that call back to themselves, and rappers wearing chains with their names on it. And I'm just wondering like how much that has affected us as a culture. Because before that, you didn't really hear musicians reference themselves in their songs, let alone reference how much money they had or how much better they were than other singers.